And I've already had the biggest setback in my life, which was going to prison, being away from family and friends for 4 years, to getting out and starting from nothing, but knowing that I'm going to succeed. Schools nowadays, they don't teach what I think they should teach, instill in the kids.
I don't like how now 150, 200 doesn't sound like a lot of money anymore. It's just because social media kind of glamorize entrepreneurship, and only the ones that make like $1 million plus a year, it's highlighted.
Right.
And it makes the rest of people that are on the come up feel like shit.
I had put a check written out for $100,000 on my refrigerator, written to my wife for a Christmas present in the year I got out, 2020. I got out with nothing. I had $400. And by the end of the year, I had, purchased her a car that was a little over that, but now, that, and without even knowing, that was in my mind. I saw it every day on the fridge, and that was something I was able to give her.
Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Fit and Frugal. My name is Tani. You can find me on IG at Tanosaurus. Today I have here with me my friend Aaron.
Hello.
Oh, he covered up his boobs. Aw.
Uh-oh.
He's wearing a very deep low cut.
How's it going?
Pull it down, man. Just pull
Yeah.
it down for the views, bro.
Right.
This is the part you introduce yourself professionally.
Got it. My name's Aaron Lambert. I'm here locally in Vegas. Real estate investor, entrepreneur. Have several companies right now, and just here to learn a little bit more about Miss Tani and her operation, and see if y'all could maybe we could talk about, I don't know what we want to talk about.
What do you want to do when you grow? Okay, anyways.
Yeah.
No, what really fascinates me, I was having a conversation before this with another serial entrepreneur, and we were talking about mindset and having a lot of not only grit, but sunk cost fallacy, right? It's because I think you yourself know, I think this is supposed to be closer, as an entrepreneur going into entrepreneurship, there's a lot of misguidance on social media, especially on what entrepreneurship really is and how much money is actually involved.
Right.
And with your background and how many years you've been investing in yourself, where do you think that cost kind of sits, and why do you think people want to quit?
Why do people want to quit?
Yeah.
Well, where the cost sits, I mean, I've spent thousands of dollars on courses and stuff to try to understand business and systems and operations. And as it pertains to mindset, I don't think I have the best mindset.
Why is that?
Because, or maybe it's just not consistent. I think a lot of times I get in my head because I get overwhelmed at building out a business and not building it out properly, which is why I've spent money on courses and stuff, and then I get inundated with the everyday operations of running a business and don't fall back on the systems and processes. But the systems and processes that I have put in place because of the courses and material that I've bought in the past have done wonders in my business. But mindset, I know every day mindset is key. Like I've been talking a lot about within myself and friends and family and coworkers that we have a vision, right? And our mindset is set on that vision. And in that aspect, the vision of where we want to go as for our family goals, for our business goals, all the goals, and not only just having them in our head, but writing them down so we can see and then we can measure them each and every day. That's something that I've been learning over the past year, that mindset is huge. Thinking about what it is that you want to do and then working towards that. Having the positive mindset, if that's where you're going with it.
Yeah, I always feel like I compare it to having a nice car, but it's parked, right? And the mindset is like the fuel, which is 90% of it. Like you can sit in there, put as much knowledge, which is the gasoline, as possible in a car, but if you don't put your foot on the gas pedal, you're not really going to go anywhere. Or if you're too scared, I think the brake would be like the fear, and you're like stepping all of your feet on all of the pedals just because you're unaware, even if it's a manual or automatic or something. Why did this turn into a car analogy? But if the longer you sit in a parked car, the less you're actually going to get to any destination.
Yeah.
But the mindset itself, I feel like it's the GPS that you have to put in, something
Right.
for the car to actually move, for the car to actually go towards a direction, for you to even know how to steer the wheel.
Right.
Like, you don't even know where you're going. And I think that's very misleading. A lot of times, like, entrepreneurship is like people go in it with the mentality of like, I'm going to go in it because I want to make money.
Right.
But I feel like it's the opposite, at least in my opinion, in the last couple of years. Is I don't think if you go into it just wanting to make money, it wouldn't be the wrong ideology, but it's just a wrong mindset to start with.
Right.
Because you actually have to lose a lot more money than you are
Yeah.
in the first few years, at least.
And going back to YouTube University, or what you see on the internet and here, what I've learned is that people are going to tell you the good, right? They don't want you to see the bad or the hard times, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then they got the guys out there on social media, on the internet. They're telling you how easy it is, but they're forgetting the hard part to get to the easy, right?
Yeah.
The system, the concept of what they're doing is easy, right? And with the proper mindset being one of the things, but with the right direction and systems and processes, it can be very, very hard. And until you get those in place to run and operate a business smoothly, it's a lot. You have to put in a lot of work, and just on wholesaling, right? It's like all over the YouTube. Hey, wholesaling is the best, easiest way to get into real estate. It's no money down, doesn't cost you anything. We could make money without having to spend any money. It's an infinite ROI. And then you get into it and you're like, I'm driving for dollars and calling people. Well, I still have to find these people's phone number before I knew anything about the free skip tracing. I was skip tracing, which costs money. And of course it wasn't much, and then I'm texting all these people like one at a time. And like, that's super time consuming. Like, and very just kind of like I don't know, for me, like, it was like a whole mental like block. Like, dude, this is just so draining. By the time I even get somebody that even might be interested, it's like, I don't even know what to say. So it's like,
and you're too tired to talk to them.
Okay. So then you go to like the next stage. Okay. Let me buy a system or something, maybe a little course or something. But with all of that being said, entrepreneurship is not easy. It's a lot of hard work. And if you don't do it right, you could waste a lot of money. Systems and processes, if you're one of those people, that's like, in my opinion, that's like the most important thing, is to have system and processes in your business so it operates smoothly and you could put it on autopilot, which is what we've been working on for the past year.
Yeah.
And we've been doing it without having any previous knowledge of doing it, just trying this, trying that, a lot of trial and error, a lot of wasted money.
Yeah. And I love that perspective, because when people use the word failure, because what I say now, like, everyone talks about failing forward, but if you don't really redirect your definition of what failure is, because for us now it's feedback. It's like, oh, that didn't work. Maybe I won't do that, and I'll do this, or I'll do this a little differently. So enable for you to even have a system and process in place, which it sounds like it took you a couple years, even just wholesaling, to develop a system, to want to put the system in place, right? To now shorten your time of all the mistakes that you used to make. Right. And now do you feel that it's cut the curve a little bit more, so that there is an actual potential for your business to, like, hockey stick growth?
Right. Scale, yeah. Yeah.
So what does that system and process look like? Did it start with a mindset? It's like, hey, what I'm doing is not working. I have to fix it. And then how do you get from that limiting mindset, which is that belief of like, man, I'm a fucking failure? Because some days, honestly, things don't work out. And I sit on the floor and I'm literally like, I'm a fucking failure. And then I have to coach myself out of that negative mindset and that self-talk, that self-doubt, that self-everything. It's super critical. It's super harsh, right?
Right.
Because only you see yourself that way. So I'm just curious about, with your past knowledge and to now with your systems and process, what has that looked like for you?
Well, in a mindset space, my days of I'm a failure or I suck, they're really not days. They're more like short spurts of like maybe an hour or two.
Yeah.
And it's because of I know where I came from and the troubles and trials and the setbacks that I've had in my life, which some of my setbacks have actually been, I think the reason why I've been able to succeed as much as I have in the past, 3 or 4 years, due to, being all the way at the bottom and having really nowhere to go except up and wanted to do better than what got me to where I was previously. So at my lowest, right? And even at my lowest, I still had my mindset and my lowest, you haven't brought it up yet, but, was me going to prison. I went to prison. I was in prison for like 4 years because of drugs and, I had drug history, whatever. But even in prison, every day was striving to be better, with the understanding like I'm going to get out and I'm going to make a bunch of money and everything's going to be okay. Like I'm going to be successful. I know, my mind is to succeed and nothing else. And I've already had the biggest setback in my life, which was going to prison, being away from family and friends for 4 years, to getting out and starting from nothing, but knowing that I'm going to succeed. I know that I'm going to do something that's going to be worthwhile. And, even though that I've been successful in a sense, I still had a lot of trials. I still burnt a lot of money making mistakes. And so to answer your questions, just always in my mind, it's not like the positive or negative mindset. It's just like kind of almost being in a position where you have to do something. So if you have a limited mindset, which I still have limited mindset every day. I mean, I think everybody does. Nobody's, nobody's just like super uber freaking, maybe they are, but positive about everything. But I've had peace in the midst of storms. With everything going crazy around me, it's like knowing that this time is going to pass. I'm going to keep pushing forward, being consistent in what I'm doing, and having the systems that I've put in place, even though they're still not perfect, or maybe that's just me because I'm like, I want things to be perfect. But, going through my wholesale business, I would tell my business partner, Ben, like, dude, we need to have something in place. We have all this data. We don't know what to do with. We don't know where it is. We don't know who we contacted. We don't know anything. We don't have any KPIs. Like, we have to put something in place so we could track all this. We probably have, 10, 20 deals that are just like we've missed because of that. So that's forced us to put things in place that wouldn't help us track everything and just work everything a little more smoothly. And still today, it's still growing and still a process. So
how are you seeking to solve that problem with the lack of system and process in place?
So I'm seeking to solve the problem just by, we're working on it every day to, like everybody has a system and processes, and you have systems that you could buy, right? That will, help you streamline your business, but you still have to put it in. You still have to put it in to fit your business, right? And I think that's where we're at today. We're using systems and we're building out SOPs and processes so that because we're growing, so we're bringing on people, so they need to know how we operate, right? From acquisition to disposition, if we're talking about real estate. Now that we have a software company selling an AI-powered platform, it's, the sales, upfront sales, marketing, sales, then closing, then onboarding, and then, nurturing that client. So those processes are, it's a process to build out the process. Yeah. It's like everything's a process. So it's just either, you could do two things, right? you're either smart enough to do it and you're going to spend some time to figure it out, or you got enough money to burn. And even if you don't think you have enough money to burn, you have some money or to spend some money to somebody to do it, because your time is more valuable than anything, especially as an entrepreneur. Like every day counts. Every day, you have to make money today. Tax season comes around every year, right? So if you're not making money to pay the man or whatever it is that you're doing with your money, it's like you're just burning money. So if you could shorten your time and your learning curve by buying courses or hiring people that know what to do, learning how to delegate, those are areas that I've had to learn and grow in myself over the course of the past 3 years.
Do you feel like if you never went to prison, you wouldn't have achieved this level of success where you're at now, because you would have been comfortable with whatever life that you had with the money from drugs, I assume?
Well, I still had a career. I was a pipe fitter in the oil refinery for 15 years, and I was making good money. I think the year that I actually got in trouble, I made $150,000, which at the time was great. And even today, it's not like phenomenal, but for people that are regular 9-to-5 guys, that's still pretty good money.
Yeah.
$150,000, $200,000 a year, that's good money. To your question, no, I think I would still be in that position. I would be higher up. I would be a general foreman, or I would be a project manager, somebody in an office rather than being in the field, just because of my experience and my knowledge. And, I was pretty good. So, but I would be there and I would be working 9 to 9 or 9 to 5, whatever it is, 5, 6, 7 days a week, being away from the family. So yes, I would definitely be there. I think maybe with a couple, maybe do a couple flips on here and there, maybe own a couple rental properties. But for the most part, my life would be work.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I think that's the comfort. I actually don't like how now 150, 200 doesn't sound like a lot of money anymore. It's just because social media kind of glamorize entrepreneurship, and only the ones that make like $1 million plus a year, it's highlighted.
Right.
And it makes the rest of people that are on the come up feel like shit. And I think that's one of the biggest problem I see nowadays, is that everyone wants to sell that course, sell that feeling of freedom, of options, of, stability, right? That's why they're selling the courses, because they're selling you the ideologies attached to those things that the money supposedly can solve for you. And I think $200,000 a year is still a lot, and more than sufficient for a family of like 4 or 5 to live off of, depending on
lifestyle,
what you do with your life. If you're, buying a Rolex every weekend, probably not. But
yeah, right. That would be like 3 or 4 of those, and then that's it.
Yeah,
it's spent out for the year.
But what was your biggest lesson that you got from prison that really shaped you as a person and as an entrepreneur to come out with that winning mindset of like, I'm going to make this work, I'm going to be successful? Like, what was that 4-year like for you?
It goes a little farther than 4 years. Throughout my entire existence, I've been in church and grew up in church and have had a relationship with Christ. And then, of course, a lot of people, I think they fall off. Some people call it fall off the wagon, right? You go astray. Like there's stories in the Bible that talk about, they've strayed away from their father and then eventually they came back. So that was, I believe, my main vein in there was learning more about that and being in touch with my faith and growing that and understanding that. And then my second vein was I was like a sponge. I wanted to learn everything. Now I had genres of things I want to learn: real estate, business. I learned I took courses, anything that they offered in there, I took. I learned how to type in there, like type and not look at the keys, not, but really type.
Prison sounds kind of fun. It sounds
fun, right? I was super in shape, and learned how to use Excel. Just learned how to use just programs on the computer. and then just learned business in general. I think I probably read, 200 books. So I was in there about real estate and business and just all of the above on top of, the other books I was reading, including the Bible. But throughout my entire time in there was learning a skill that I could use when I get out. And I think all of that, like people ask me, like, how long you been in real estate? I'm like, well, in my mind, like 5 or 6 years, but really like 2.
Yeah.
That's because I like inundated myself with, information. And even when I got out, I think the first month I got out, I'm like, okay, I'm going to wholesale. I didn't know what to do. I just went online and started researching stuff. And it was like, oh, you should wholesale properties. And I was talking, actually I had 2 friends of mine that I was in prison with that are really successful. One's a developer out in Northern California. He develops huge neighborhoods, and he's been doing it for 20 years. And then another friend, he's in Phoenix. He owns, We Buy Ugly Houses. I think it's a home investor franchise or something.
Mm-hmm.
So these guys I actually spent a lot of time with, and I learned a lot of stuff from them. And that was another thing I did in there. I was always finding the people, because I was in the feds, so there's a lot of white collar in the feds. Mm-hmm. So I was always finding the people that were successful in their own right in their business. And a lot of people was real estate related. And we just learned as much as I could from them. And they would tell me, it's easy, right? It's easy as long as you follow the steps, as long as you follow the process. So whenever I got out, it's like, okay. And I went and made, right before COVID shut down the country, I went and made an offer on my first property. Went and looked at it and walked it with the agent and then made him an offer. It didn't get accepted, but that was like my first little, taste. And after that, I fell off because I started a company that sold COVID-related items.
Yeah. Like the PPE stuff?
PPE. We made all of our money on the COVID test kits. Yeah, we made a pretty nice chunk on some masks, but most of it was COVID test kits. We got a distributorship for a test kit company out of New Jersey, and it was really good for a while. So yep.
I think those opportunities are what's the quote? It's like it's when luck meets opportunity. It's how money is made.
Right.
And the 4 years you spent in prison, you're pretty much gathering your ammunition, because that's like your incubation period, I feel like.
Right.
Because now it kind of sucks now because people want to get so much more knowledge. That's why they're paying for extra knowledge, but they don't have the execution window. Because sometimes life like pulls you back a little bit, and it sounds like that was the perfect time for you to get pulled back. This is when the universe is like, hey, let's recalibrate you a little bit, throw you in prison, make you super fucking smart and ripped and get your mindset together. Yeah. Right. And then when you came out, I feel like you went like Spartan mode on that shit.
Right.
It's like, it doesn't really matter what I do anymore. Like, I'm going to succeed and I'm going to fucking win this.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think you're right about the luck. The little bit of luck, or
yeah,
I would call it being blessed, like my dedication to the Lord, right? Yeah. But open up the doors, and then they're always like everybody, and I'm talking about successful people. They'll all tell you the same thing. You can learn anything and everything that you want, but you're not going to go anywhere unless you take action. Right? You have to take action. You have to do it every day, and you have to be consistent about it. And if something's not working, you have to be willing to make the change. So whenever I got out, it was just I was hitting the halfway house. The guy calls me. It's like, hey, man. I'm talking to him. And he's like, hey. He's like, I got these masks. He's like, everybody needs them, and I know where to get them. I'm like, really? He's like, he told me a price. I'm like, okay. So I took the phone book, and I just started calling. And just trying to sell masks one after the other.
What?
Yeah. And, that threw me into a working like 16 hours a day, just like being a super broker, right? Trying to find people that wanted it, and then trying to find the product. Oh, yeah, I got it. And then going to try to find it, right? And then I got established. I got a company. And then I actually started, and then I found the source. And then buyers would tell me, and I would say yes. And whenever we know we had the products secured, then we would take the money. It's kind of like a drop ship type thing.
Yeah.
And this was with millions of dollars, right? Hundreds and thousands of dollars. And then we got us distributorship with, and I say we because through the process I linked up with one of my business partners. His name's Dr. Ash, and he was my partner in RKL Suppliers, which is our supply company for. So he secured the distributorship, and I was kind of like the sales end, of the operation. And then it was kind of all she wrote. We did really well for 2 years.
Yeah.
And then I started investing in real estate.
Wow, that's so crazy. I didn't even know wow. How long ago was that you had a phone book though?
Well, that was in 2020, right before COVID.
Those actually existed?
Yeah, it was at the halfway house.
Any Gen Z that's listening is like, what the fuck is a phone book? What are the yellow pages?
The yellow pages, yeah. And I might not have had a phone book. It might have been online, but it was literally just going down a list of numbers and just calling.
Yeah.
Just calling.
That's some crazy persistence you had, man.
Yeah. And it was, I was at this position where I had nothing else to do. COVID shut down. So my original plan whenever I got out of prison was open up a company that was called Can Caddy. And what Can Caddy is it's like a trash can caddy service where my company would come to your house and pull your trash cans to the street for you on the days that the street runs or the trash runs. And then we also would clean them out if you wanted us to clean them out like once a month. Right. That was the kind of business plan. But then when I got to Vegas, I noticed that the driveways are like 2 foot long. Like, who's going to pay for that?
Yeah.
Right.
Super lazy people. No.
I guess so.
Super
right?
wealthy people, maybe.
Yeah. Busy people, whatever. But I was like, I didn't really see the opportunity, and maybe I wasn't looking hard enough, but I figured that would be and then the amount of HOAs that I realized were here, was another hurdle. So anyways, that was the plan. And then to also get back into pipe fitting, which here in Vegas, they have a union. I forget the number, but I went and took my written test, passed it. And then I was waiting to take my hands-on test. And then COVID happened, so they shut down the union hall. So I was like, no work. So I'm like, okay, I have a nice resume for what I do. And I'm driving around I'm going all over town, going to restaurants, going to grocery stores, stupid, what's that, Trader Joe's. They didn't want to hire me. I'm like, are you serious? You want to hire me? Like, look at my resume. Like, I'm well, I could do this job no problem and probably make it better. And then it was like, okay, I guess I wasn't happy enough for him.
Yeah, you didn't have the Trader Joe's attitude. Hi. I love those people. Every time you buy something, they're like, oh my God, I love this. Like, you should try it with this. And I'm like, oh God.
My wife loves that store. And it's got good food. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
Not bashing on Trader Joe's, but
no, I'm a fucking Trader Joe's whore, man.
yeah, they got some good stuff. But yeah, I mean, I couldn't get a job anyways. The guy calls me. I started doing research about real estate and stuff, and the guy calls me, and then it was just that was the start. I guess.
Sometimes that's what entrepreneurship is. It's
right.
Googling how to make money and trying to do what the internet tells you until you figure it out it's not.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's so crazy. When we were talking offline about relationships, and I was talking to someone else with kids, right? And they're like, in the age that we're coming up on, which is the last 5-10 years apparently, but now it's more predominant with the use of AI. Everyone's using AI assistant. Everyone is using some sort of ChatGPT bot. But what they were worried about is their kids. It's, the relationship dynamics. And because now this generation, I feel like we're all raising, well, not me, but people are just raising iPad kids. Do you have a fear, since I know you have kids, that with the way we're using it to optimize businesses and just our personal daily life as an entrepreneur, that it's going to affect the kids in some kind of way to where they won't be able to have conversations, like human conversations with other people?
That all falls back, I strongly believe this, on the parent. So you're a parent for a reason. Like, you're gonna raise your kid. Kid's not just gonna come out the womb and just be doing its own thing, right? But those parents that aren't present, that don't instill some type of morals and then some type of skill and raise their kid in a way that's not just putting them in front of a screen just to shut them up, right? Like my wife, she takes the kids they outside all day, all morning. They do like learning. They're 2 and 3. They learn in the morning in the playroom, and then they go outside and they play, and then whatever. And then they do have, we do watch TV, like learning shows and stuff. But in front of, like, putting them in front of a screen, like an iPad, is something that we've decided amongst ourselves that we're not going to do. Like, that's not going to be a thing. Like, we're going to find something for them to do. I got a big old climbing wall. It's about this tall in the playroom, so they can go, and I got a climbing wall in the backyard and just a bunch of stuff that's active that they can go do. So, but to your point, yes, I think we've already kind of gotten to that point a long time ago. Maybe not a long time ago, but at least years ago, maybe 10, where kids are they're just stuck in their phone. They're stuck on whatever it is that they're doing. Their social interaction has dropped, and they would much rather text somebody than talk to them on the phone, much less be with them in person. So, yeah, and it all falls back. You have society, and then you have the parents as to how much they're going to allow society to raise their kid, right? So it's being present, in my opinion, and what you instill in them is how they're going to grow up. But yes, to your point, people are becoming more and more unsocial, detached from that because of and then AI. AI is a great tool. I use it in my business. I actually sell a product that is powered by AI, and it is super. It's impersonable, but it is personable because it could actually hold a conversation with you. It can pick up the phone and call you. That's what we use it for, conversational AI. They have AI products out there called one called Pi.ai, and it's like super friendly. Like, you could pull it up on your phone and you text it, and it's like super friendly text. Like, if you're having a hard day, it's really interesting. And that could be, now it still takes you away from reality, but people can use some of these tools to, especially lonely people, to, have what seems to be a friend on the other end. I was talking to a lady yesterday. We were having a sales call with my product, right? Appointmate.ai. And she was interested in the AI tools that we use, and she does assisted living. And she said a lot of her, people that stay in there are really lonely. She's like, I wonder how I could use this to where this thing can call them and talk to them. Because these people that are in there, they don't have anybody else, right? Yeah. A lot of people are either they're just family just doesn't talk to them, whatever the case may be. They're old, they're lonely, and they're just kind of just waiting to die, kind of. And, they have these tools that I was telling her about, specifically Pi AI, and then our conversational tool where you could talk, and it's like talking to somebody real. So she was like, man, I think that would be really helpful for these people because now they're not in their mind, right? They could actually talk to something. So there's, with everything, there's good and bad, right? There's, if you use it the wrong way and if you abuse it and if you don't put it in its proper place, then yes, it can be used for what you don't want it to be used for, like what you're talking about. Yeah. Bringing people from reality out of reality, right?
Yeah. I find that to be super funny. We live in a paradox to where before we used to use technology to help systematize our lives. And now that there's a dependency, we're trying the other way to develop, again, communication skills. And it's like this whole circle where, have you seen the movie WALL-E? The Disney movie? I don't know if you and your kids have watched it.
The little guy that runs around?
The little robot?
It's a cartoon?
It's a little cartoon.
Yeah.
And it's such a realistic depiction of where America is going because everyone's going to have VRs. Everyone is ordering Uber Eats glued to their screen. And that movie came out so long ago, but it's one of my favorite movie just ever, just because it's so realistic to where how far is AI going to take us, because we are using it to our advantage. You're using it for business. So now I think Josh sent me Victoria yesterday.
Oh yeah. Wow, that was crazy. Yeah.
And I was watching her, I was like, holy crap.
Yeah. That
Like,
was
Josh, if
interesting.
you're ever watching this, like, that shit is freaky, man.
Yeah. Super cool, dude.
How
Yeah.
crazy you guys have developed these softwares to be so lifelike. And, now you've seen those AI Instagram models. Now they're making money off of AI generating
Oh, the
influencers.
AI influencers. Yep.
AI influencers.
I was just looking at a thing last night on that.
And we're all already, I know you probably have, are thinking,
I
how
was
am I going to
thinking,
make money
like,
off
how
of
could
this?
I create an influencer? So
Yeah.
she-
Me and one of my tech bro friends, exactly like the minute I saw that, I was like, how the fuck do we capitalize on this? Because we
Right.
want to use it, obviously make money, not to abuse it in any sort of way to,
right. Yeah.
it's not going to save us from existential loneliness or something,
Yeah.
but that capability that it has and how far removed we are from reality sometimes feels unreal to me.
Mm-hmm.
Is now more than ever, you're not even taking your own appointments anymore, right? Because the AI is doing your work.
Yeah.
It's calling your leads. It's doing all of your cold call.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Is that?
Yeah, that's what we use it for. And
Yeah.
we use it kind of for that reason as well, because VAs, I'm not bashing on VAs, but I haven't had any good luck with VAs outside of VAs that are just like office VAs. But for cold calling VAs, like in the real estate business, especially if you're in wholesale, you need to scale, you have to be able to call. And to call, you need people. And the cheapest people that you have are people overseas or somewhere not in America. That's the only way that it makes sense. Now, those people are still human, and they still make human mistakes. They still have, things that they can't do. They still have limited knowledge. Speaking about people that are in other countries, they have the language barrier. Then you have the whole time it takes to train that person, right? And then hopefully that person stays with you and is trainable, and you're not wasting a bunch of time and money, getting those people on board, and then for them to either quit or not work out, whatever the case may be. Well, using the AI to do that, which is like a task that's very mundane and it's very irritating. A lot of people don't like doing it. It's kind of hard to have a tool that can call 1,000 times more than a VA for the same price or maybe a little more, is, it's kind of almost invaluable, especially if your numbers are still working out to be the same. If you're calling 7,000 people and you're closing 3 deals, and it costs you $2,000 because you're using a VA, that's okay. That's cool. But if you're calling 7,000 people, closing 3 deals, but it only costs you $300,
Yeah.
that's a way better deal now. And that could be done in 2 days as opposed to a month. Or you call 7,000 people in 7 minutes. A VA is going to take you a whole month, right? So let's call 7,000 people every day, and if we have the good data, then there's a possibility we can get 3 deals under contract. So that ROI is crazy.
Yeah. How are you tracking your KPIs with all these calls?
So we utilize our system, or our platform, which is built off of Go High Level. So that's where we submit all of our contacts. We put them in there, and then the KPI is tracked inside of there. Like, we know how many people we call, because we're going to just call it once, right now, today. And then maybe we'll call it again tomorrow. And then once that call once somebody picks up the phone and has the conversation after the phone call, then there's a transcription of the call that comes in, and then it uses ChatGPT to summarize the notes, and then it sends you a message, and then it takes them out of that particular workflow so you don't call them again. And then it'll send me a message like, hey, you need to follow up this person. Hey, book appointment. But all that's tracked within the system.
Yeah.
So you know how many calls you're making, and you know how many text messages you're receiving, how many people are answering the phone, how long they're on the phone for. So all of that is trackable within the system.
Yeah. How are you scraping data?
So we also use a tool, an AI-powered tool called Axiom.ai. And this thing's pretty cool because it could pretty much scrape data from anything, and it could do anything. Like if you wanted to start posting on your Instagram story, it could do that. If you wanted to go comment on somebody else's Instagram post. It could do that. And then on the other side, if you wanted to go on the county website and scrape the data from the website that you want, the pre-foreclosures or foreclosure list, it could do that. And then it could take that data and do whatever else you want it to do with it. Like us, we'll scrape data from, instead of downloading lists, we'll scrape the data and then we'll put it on a Google Sheets, and then it automatically starts emailing.
Yeah.
So, and they could do that with, any other thing. Like you can scrape, they got ones that are built out. Just go scrape LinkedIn. Like if you're doing business to business, you go scrape LinkedIn and get profiles and email addresses and then you can have it contact them. So it's a setup process. I mean, you have to have somebody that knows a little bit about tech and coding, but you could build these little bots out, watch a few videos on how to do it, and then set it on autopilot, right?
Yeah. So as an entrepreneur, I'm hearing like a lot of the system and processes are replaceable, and that humans eventually in these roles are very replaceable, right? Because what AI has given us is very invaluable, like you said. So what do you think the top 3 skills that someone should have to move forward in the next 10 years with the way technology and AI is going, and that most jobs are going to be replaceable?
I think anybody that can, from now forward, gain as much knowledge as they can about an AI and how to use it in their business or anybody's business, or just if you're an employee, how to use it to maximize your output. If you're somebody that codes, a coder, AI can code for you. They have actually programs that are AI powered just for coding now that can do what you need done that take you 3 weeks, can do it in 30 minutes, right? You have to. So with that said, you have to know how to prompt. Prompting is huge in the space of AI, because prompting, being able to understand how to talk to the system or the AI to get it to do what you want it to do, the better your output, right? The better you can explain or tell this thing and give it examples, the better the product is that you're trying to put out. If you're somebody in a office space that has to put together marketing emails or emails just in general for whatever it is that you're doing inside of your company, that you do all this often, instead of drafting your long emails, right, that might take you an hour to draft a nice email or whatever it is, you could pop this thing into AI and it could do it to you in seconds. And then if it doesn't look right, just tweak it a little bit.
Yeah.
And then you can say, hey, give me 15 different versions of this. There's so many different areas of AI that you could use. It all depends on what line of work you're in. But any professional and I think anybody, right? Because if you're just an employee, and any employee that's in type of office job or has any type of office, needs to have office skills. These, learning how to use the AI, which I think is pretty easy, once you start doing it, you're gonna be way ahead of the curve, and you're gonna benefit not only yourself but your employer, and you're gonna be valuable, right? And then as a business owner, start utilizing it in your business to automate things. A lot of people now use the chatbots. The chatbots are getting better because they're AI, and then they're prompted better, and then they're just getting better at everything. And then we use, I think now we have it to where it's, it's set so we can, I don't think we have it set up yet, but we just got a system where now we're using AI to do all our Facebook ads and all our, messaging on all the social media platforms, and it's doing all from within inside of our platform, our CRM. Yeah. So we don't have to do it, because it's, as a business owner, you have so many different channels of messaging, right? You got Telegram, you got Instagram, you got Messenger, you got WhatsApp, you got this, you got that. So having it all centralized in one location, and then not only having it centralized, but also having something that you have prompted to almost mimic you, right? You could build these things out. And, Jeff Hunter, he teaches a course on how to build out AI personas, and now he builds out GPTs, right? Which is a cool feature that ChatGPT just came out with. And you could build these things out to sound and respond like you. So you could take all of your emails from the past 10 years, how you responded in those emails, put them in a file, load them up, and now this thing's going to know how you react and how you talk and how you want to sound to whoever it is that you're talking to. So whenever it's writing an email for you, it actually sounds and it has the same kind of style as you. Mm-hmm. That's huge, right? I mean, the possibilities are endless. So anybody that right now, moving forward, starts implementing as well as learning AI tools in whatever business they're in, it's going to be extremely beneficial to them. Because right now we're like 1997 internet, except we're moving at a much higher rate of speed. But don't be the guys that are still using the fax machine, right? Get with the times, pick up these tools that are there for you to use and make you better. Mm-hmm. That would be my advice to anybody that's got anything to do with anything.
It's funny because in the beginning of it, a few years ago, when everyone started using ChatGPT and before all the prompts and the bots actually existed and nothing was personalized, like you can tell who's using it for what, especially in the last year that automation on social media was a thing. Mm-hmm. Everyone's posts are sounding the same because it wasn't personalized. And now, in this age to where it's the biggest transfer of wealth and you need to talk to more business owners, for example, right? Like you're talking to people that want to sell you their house. Mm-hmm. How much of that you feel like it still needs a lot of personal touches that, like, what do you think we have as a human race that AI can never take over?
Nothing. AI all the way, baby. No, I'm just kidding. It's going down. They're coming for you.
Nothing. You see iRobot, it's going to be like that.
Yeah. I don't care how much you personalize any machine. It's still a machine, right? And they're, like I was saying, they're getting so good. But there's always going to be the human emotion, the human factor. Some people could pick it up in the voice, like the conversational AI, as good as they sound, people could still pick it up in the voice. Like there's just no emotion behind it, right? Even though I was playing some the other day and the AI agent legitimately sound concerned about this gentleman that was about to lose his house due to foreclosure, right?
What?
Yeah. He was like, oh man, I think I could probably play it, but it's never going to replace, I'm not going to say never. I think eventually you're not going to be able to tell, and you're almost there now, right? But you still have that human, we have souls and spirits, right? For a reason, right? Because we're human, and there's that human interaction that you can never replace, from that. So yes, it's going to get really good. But no, you can't replace that. And it's still important as a business owner. Personal brand nowadays is huge, right? I'm trying to build mine. I don't have much of a personal brand, but I'm trying to build that because it's important, because people want to do business with people, right? You have the big businesses. Everybody knows the big businesses. But on a more real level, the massive people want to do business with people that they can relate to. And they feel like they understand, like the guys that are all on social media, the big guys on social media, especially like in real estate and business, they do so good because of their social media presence. People feel like they can connect. People feel like they relate to this person. And they see them so much on social media, they almost feel like they know them. So that's huge. And that I don't think you could ever take away. Although I can take a picture of myself and then throw it into an AI and have it start talking for me, but it still doesn't have the human factor. But
I do believe that social media is the new resume, because now people don't even ask for your resume anymore. They haven't in the last, from what I've known, like 10 years at least, maybe 5 realistically, because the first time if you are introduced to someone, what do? You pull up, or you try to pull up their IG.
Yeah, well, they ask me. I'm getting used to that. Which IG? I'm like, dude, give me your phone number.
And I feel like a lot of that, because we're wired, maybe we're from a different generation where we weren't used to our phones.
Right.
Now it's all these blink cards and all these digital transfers, which I know we have to get used to going with the wave,
Yeah.
But I feel like there's still something so personal about just giving someone your number, and there's just that uncertainty that's so like awesome. Because now the better you get at sales and marketing and building your funnel and your online presence, sometimes when I see someone that's too polished online, I still don't have a true connection with them.
Right.
Than someone that I'm like, maybe I just want to work a lot harder, just getting someone's number and then texting them and then waiting for them to call me, like a seller, for example, and then calling them, getting them on the phone and really connecting with them. And I feel like I know them more than if they were to send me their fucking Blink card or something.
Right.
And it's somewhere in between that I think I've lost grasp of reality and where it's actually really going versus having a truly honest, old-fashioned handshake, you know, maybe a business card. I don't know. I don't have business cards, but exchanging number and really just doing business with someone just because you like the integrity and you like their character.
Right.
Versus how pretty their like LinkedIn profile is. That's mostly, now I know it's mostly AI generated. Their blinks and all of their intellectual property. I feel like it's really important. That's why content creation is king now. Because now anyone can look you up and anyone can literally tell you what you said like 2 years ago.
Right.
From a Facebook post or something.
And crucify you for it.
And crucify you for it. But I'm like, you know, people do grow. And you get so limited in terms of what you want to post nowadays because you're like, oh, it's not on brand, but I just want to sit around and post memes all day and just have fun, you know? Like life is so hard already and we're all out here. We're all trying to grind and do business as entrepreneurs. We're all taking losses and shit. And everyone that you want to open up Instagram is just like, oh, I just made $1 million today. You're like, well, now I feel like shit. I'm going to turn off my phone. Just kidding. But somewhere in that, it's like exactly where our culture is right now. It's kind of like that comparison syndrome that you can't help but look. And then if you don't look, then you don't know what's going on. And I feel like that's how we're so disconnected. But at the same time, we're like more connected than ever.
Right.
Because you can find out anyone, whatever they're doing in their business and their life at any time.
Yeah.
That's like so much fucking power. It's like too much power for me, man.
Or the illusion of what they're doing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know I've had that, you know, what is that? What do they call that when it's like you see people like thriving on social media and you're like, oh man, I wish I was doing that. Yeah. And then like you're missing out on something. But like I've had friends like they're great on social media, right? And then I go over to their house or I'll talk to them like old friends and I'm like, dude.
Like, what's up?
Like totally different on social media, bro. You got to put together, and then you ain't got nothing put together.
Yeah.
I was like, hey, well, look, it's working for you on social media, bro. But yeah, no, I understand exactly what you're saying. Like the whole digital thing, and people want to. I'm learning now that it's, or I'm adapting to the whole like, hey, give me your IG, because as a business owner, the more people you have on your IG, the more people see you, the more, you know, that you're able to grow your personal brand and business because of it. Although I don't like just giving out my IG because I feel like IG, I don't spend enough time on. Like when people message me, it's not something that I'm always like, messaging on. That's why we're setting up. So I'm setting up some automation for that. So, cause I know there's opportunities, right? With everybody I meet, not everybody, but there's, you know, every time we have a networking event, I try to at least, if it's big enough, get at least 10 have 10 solid conversations with 10 people, or I mean, more people, but have 10 solid conversations that I connect with and that I think that maybe we can add value to each other. And I like to share the number and take a picture with them. And so, and then, I send them my Blink cards so they can have all my information, and hopefully they have one. So it's much easier to download their information rather than
Google. What was that guy's last name?
25 words a minute.
Oh, shit. You need to go back to prison and get like maybe up to 75 or something.
Yeah, probably. But yeah, so I completely get what you're saying, understand, but and agree. But yeah. Because nowadays you go out, we go to so many networking events, go to so many conferences that sometimes you get lost in that delusion of everyone wants to do business with you. But I feel like sometimes I'm like, am I looking at just their social media? And if they're so good at social media, but in real life, I'm like, but I can't really do business with you because we don't really understand each other. Right. You know? Yeah.
That's just a lack somewhere in there.
Right.
Yeah. With your wife and kids, like when you as an entrepreneur, like with your kids, I think I've talked to her about homeschooling. Like, I love this topic just because I don't have a lot of friends that have kids that I feel like they're kids, not kids. Like, your kids are kids. Like, they're like climbing, they're doing stuff that naturally how we were raised. We were raised with sticks and rocks, throw you outside in the street, come home when the lights turn on. Maybe, I don't know. Don't get eaten by a raccoon, you know?
If you're thirsty, drink out of the hose. Yeah,
like that's kind of how we were raised. And with the more coddled society that where Americans are going with the screen time and all that stuff, do you feel that entrepreneurs are more inclined to homeschool their kids just because we understand that the education system and the institutionalized education doesn't really serve well to nurture the minds in a critical thinking?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, we've homeschooling. Yes, me and my wife had that talk several times. I think we even talked about it yesterday because we were talking about schools, and I said I met somebody at the gym, and they go send their school to this challenge school. I don't know. I've never heard of it, but they teach what I call I don't know if I want to say that, but they teach history as we got taught it whenever we were growing up, and they don't teach critical race theory, and they don't teach Common Core. So they teach, like, I think probably how I was taught when I was a kid, maybe. And they're kind of real strict. So it's kind of like a hardcore school, but it's like good hardcore, right? Like hardcore in a way, like strict and to the, like, this is your curriculum, this is your times, this is what you're doing. It's not really lax, which I think is good to have structure, especially in education, if you're being taught the right thing. But with that said, schools nowadays, they don't teach what I think they should teach, instill in the kids. And I think it's because the way that the schools are, and there's way more kids and they're understaffed, the kids don't get that one-on-one that they should, and they don't get taught in a way that's a beneficial or in a learning, how they learn. Like, everybody learns a little different, right? I'm more of a visual person, like hands-on, like doing it. You know, some people are more like, I need to write everything down and read it, right? So everybody learns a little differently. So they don't really do that I know of. So we have talked about homeschooling, and a lot of people that my wife has been talking to, especially people that are successful entrepreneurs, they homeschool their kids because it's just more flexibility. They get to see them. They get to control what they learn. And yes, I think it's very beneficial for parents and their kids, if they have the means to do it, to homeschool their kids, because they can control what they learn. And, you know, obviously kids are going to grow up and just like everybody and do what they're going to do, right? They're going to learn, and they're going to try things. They're going to fail. They're going to get in trouble. They're going to, you know, be corrected. It's like, it's a learning process. That's just part of life. But if they have instilled with them good morals and values, and, you know, they weren't brought up, fed a bunch of crap about society, you know, let them learn, because everybody's perspective on everything is different. But whenever you start injecting things into them at such a young age, that's an issue, right? That's a problem. That's why, we are leaning heavily towards, unless we move back to Louisiana, which there's a school down there. It's called Jimmy Swagger, or what it is called. I think it's
Jimmy
called
Swagger.
Family Christian Academy. Yeah, it's part of Jimmy Swagger Ministries. But that's probably the only school that I would want to put my kids in, outside of homeschool or maybe another Christian school. But so to your point, yes, I think homeschool is the way to go for kids nowadays, in my opinion. Yeah.
Because I do believe in that as entrepreneurs, just because we may not use all the education that we got growing up too. And I feel like they just raise a society of workers.
Yep.
Just obedience, follow the rules, do what you're told. But they don't really take in consideration like artistic kids and creatives, especially for us as entrepreneurs. We're more creative than anything.
Right.
And we don't like certain types of disciplines. I think to be disciplined as an entrepreneur is different than to be obedient to society. And those rules don't really apply to 80% of entrepreneurs I know, like you and I and myself. Like we grew up a little differently against the grain. We got in trouble, but that's how we learned.
Right.
And it's not really acceptable once you tell people your story. So I really admire that. Your prison story, I love that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's like, when we met, I was like, I knew I could be friends with this guy. He's not some, he went through some shit, and he came out.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is there anything you want to share with us today that we haven't touched on that you feel it's called close to your heart?
I mean, we touched on a lot. I mean, nothing really close to my heart that I would want to share, but outside of just like, I don't really know your audience, but if it is, I would assume that entrepreneurs listen to this show and people that want to have a better mindset and, want to live life to their fullest in a sense of like fullest, like healthy and happy, not just fullest as monetarily full. Mm-hmm. Although that is great to have and does help. And it's very, it's good to be monetarily stable. But, having goals and visions is something that is kind of become very dear to my heart, and in a sense that knowing where I want to go, truly knowing where I want to go, and then mapping out how to get there from business to personal and spiritual, is something that everybody should do, and it will help everyone in their journey, wherever that journey may be, to achieve the things that they want to achieve, because now they have something that they could see, like GPS, what you said at the beginning of the show. You have to know where you're going to get there, right? And you need to see, you have to have some type of visual of what that looks like, writing it down, have it a picture. Vision boards are huge. I thought they were a load of crap. Until I actually utilized, in a small sense, I had put a check written out for $100,000 on my refrigerator, written to my wife for a Christmas present in the year I got out, 2020. I got out with nothing. I had $400. And by the end of the year, I had, purchased her a car that was a little over that. But now, that, and without even knowing, that was in my mind. I saw it every day on the fridge, and that was something that I was able to give her, So those things work. I don't know how they work outside of knowing what you want and striving every day to get there, and consistency, being consistent. Is a message that's been preached to me, and I would tell other people that's really taking action and being consistent for business owners.
Yep. We're all about taking imperfect actions here. Just gotta get up and do it. Just want to acknowledge you for being here, man. Your integrity as a person, your story as well. It's very inspiring, and I just want to acknowledge you for showing up authentically today.
Oh, thank you.
With your sweater and your you didn't show us the.
I didn't show too much cleavage. I haven't been working out that much, so
to make fun of
my cleavage ain't there today.
Well, guys, that's it for us today. Thank you for spending some time with us. You can find me on IG at Tonosaurus or at Fit and Frugal Pod, and you can find Aaron at
_Aaron Lambert on IG
and everything.
Yeah.
Stalk him.
THE. Click the link below.
Yeah, we'll drop it down in the show notes.
Thanks. Thank you, Tani. I appreciate it.
Stay frugal.
Yeah.
Peace.